Okay, it's a little around. It's around 7. We should start now. It'll leave us more time for Q&A. If you're wondering who I am, normally it's Marcia Drizon-Tepler, who's the Master of Ceremonies. Marcia had to work today, sort of unexpectedly, so I've been drafted. So let's hope I can fill the bill. Okay, there are agendas on every chair, and as you'll see, item number 1 is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we can all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 2 on the agenda are the rest of our meetings between now and the summer. We were off in the summer. So we have one meeting in May. The speaker will be Thomas Kniff, who ran for district attorney against Alvin Bragg, who I don't want to digress, but I'm sure you know how horrible he is, unfortunately.
That was stolen.
That's another issue. But at any rate, he will be speaking May 12th. He also has a book that just is coming out called Tuxedo Park. On some of these agendas, there is a picture of the book, which you can scan and will allow you to order it in advance. It'll also be on sale when he is speaking. And finally, the last meeting before next September will be Tuesday, June 12th, and the speaker will be Paul Teller, as it says on your agenda. Okay, here, who is Paul Teller?
No, it says June 2nd.
What did I say?
You said the 12th.
No, I'm sorry,
No,
June 2nd.
You said
May 12th and June 2nd. Okay, anyway, announcements. So I'm reading what Marcia put it here. First of all, the table that everyone had to pass through to get in here, maybe you walked by, there are 3 things there that if you haven't done, you want to double back. If you aren't on our mailing list, not getting our emails, please see the person all the way on the right and sign up. If you would like to volunteer and help us, there are various tasks we could use help with. See the person in the middle, and if you'd like to pay your dues, these meetings are very expensive. See the person on the left, on my left, as I'm facing out. Just go back to the table. As it says here, for the point I just mentioned about the volunteers, we need people to make phone calls, to remind people to come to the meeting. We need all sorts of technical help, etc. We're at bare bones. If one person quits, we're out of business. That's how limited our volunteer lineup is. Okay, now this is something Marcia put in here. I'll just read it. It's apparently a proposal to put in a bike lane on 72nd Street, 2-way bike lane, which will of course reduce traffic lanes and increase car traffic. There's a petition to prevent this, which is printed here in tiny type. You can go to the change.org and sign the petition, or you can attend the Community Board 7 meeting on May 5th when this is going to be discussed. If you're interested, check the CB7, Community Board 7 website. Okay, now to introduce the speaker for today, who I personally invited, and he came very graciously since he lives in Philadelphia. In fact, after the meeting, he has to catch a train and go home. It's quite a favor for him to come and address us. As shown on our flyer, his name is Mort Klein. He's the national president of the Zionist Organization of America. And to skim through what Marcia gave me, which was her introduction, Mort has a long and very prestigious history both before he became president of the ZOA and since becoming the president. He was born in a displaced persons camp in Germany. His parents were Holocaust survivors. I just spoke to him and we found out we both were born in displaced person camps in Germany. My parents were also Holocaust survivors. The camps we were born in were very close to each other, both of them suburbs of Munich, at any rate. His father was an Auschwitz survivor, a rabbi, and a Sofer scribe. His mother was a Siberian survivor. They were both very religious, very Zionistic, and Mort got his background from that. But that's not how he started. He started out by living very poorly in Philadelphia, like welfare level poor, but succeeded through education, scholarship to Temple University, bachelor's degree in math and economics, master's degree in statistics. He taught math, moved to DC, worked for the government, Department of Health and Education and Welfare. He also became acquainted with a fellow named Linus Pauling, who you may have heard of.
Yes.
One of the few people who's won two Nobel Prizes, one for chemistry and one for peace, although he's sort of a leftist. But he became friendly with him, and Linus was impressed with him and hired him for scientific work, which is something that Mort is familiar with, nutrition, etc. Biostatistician at UCLA, worked with Linus Pauling. His name was one of the names on the groundbreaking medical journal article in 1992, together with Linus Pauling on vitamin C, which, as you may remember, was Pauling's big thing. Okay, however, his wife, Rita, urged him to consider helping the Jewish people, so he got involved in Jewish activism. First, he lobbied to remove the misstatements in a Baedeker travel guide, which described Israel incorrectly, and also a history text, which his daughter brought home. All of this, of course, has only gotten worse lately, but he started doing that. The publishers asked him to rewrite the text, which he did. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, please turn off all your cell phones, if you don't mind, or silence them. That just reminded me. In addition to which, and that's the first time I saw him, there was a woman running for the Senate in Pennsylvania, whose name I don't remember, who went to a church whose pastor delivered viciously anti-Semitic sermons, which unfortunately today is a standard. But opposing her was a senator who was a Republican named a Senate candidate named Arlen Specter, who Mort strongly supported by bringing out this negative information about his opponent. And although she was, polling ahead as a Democrat, that helped get Arlen Specter elected. He was a very good senator, very pro-Israel. All of this was back in 1992. In 1993, when the Oslo Accords came out, and all the Jewish organizations in the country were jumping for joy, Mort, who by then had become president of the ZOA, strongly opposed it, as I did, and still do. And the ZOA was the only significant group to not stand and witness the handshaking ceremony between Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat.
It's a little hard to hear you,
Okay, I'll repeat the last sentence. The ZOA was the only significant Jewish group which was not, did not attend the handshaking ceremony between Rabin and Arafat on the White House lawn. And I'm sure he didn't attend the giving of the Nobel Peace Prize to Yasser Arafat, which is another outrage. At any rate, as a result of these positions, which are somewhat to the right of all the other Jewish organizations in this country, there was a question as to whether the ZOA should be removed from the Conference of Presidents of Major Jewish Organizations. That's a large umbrella organization. And nothing has changed. 30 years later, liberal Jewish groups again question the ZOA's membership in that organization because they, the ZOA, were opposed to Black Lives Matter, which I certainly am too. But these are the positions the ZOA has taken, and mostly due to Mort Klein, all of whom I agree with. He also has opposed the two-state solution. He opposes, of course, the Iran nuclear deal, which, thank God, President Trump is unraveling, all of which turned out to be prophetic. Okay, so to sort of wrap up, the ZOA, thanks also to Mort's excellent fundraising efforts, is now relatively financially in good shape. It has 8 chapters. It has full-time professionals, 2 full-time lobbyists, a law and justice center, a campus program, an Israel trip. They also do, I used to go when I was feeling better. They go once a year and lobby Congress. You get on a bus with all the ZOA members, and then you get a lunch and you lobby individual Congress members. You're trained how to do this before you go there. So if you're interested, you should talk to, there are 3 people here from the ZOA besides Mort, and you can talk to them about doing that. I think that lobbying trip has already ended, so you probably want to go through next year. Oh, it's coming up. When is it coming up? When? Can't hear you.
June 6th.
June 6th, there'll be a lobbying trip with the ZOA. Who will train you on what to
One
say?
correction, that's June 9th.
June 9th. Okay. The 2 gentlemen who just spoke in the back and Mort can give you more information, or you can just go to the website. So you can get trained, get a free bus ride, and lobby individual Congress members and discuss Israel with them. Also, there'll be, the ZOA is marching in the Israel Day Parade, which I just found out will be May 31st. So if anybody is up to marching in the parade, that would be a good group to march with. Okay, I'm almost finished. Let's see. Numerous awards, accolades, blah, blah, blah. As Mort has testified, written 300 articles and letters to prominent media about Israel issues. He's testified before Congress, etc. And I would like to simply also mention that the speech he's giving today about the lies about Israel in the media, which he asked me a few options, and this is the one I strongly urge him to do, because the media is absolutely chock full of lies, and I'm not just talking about NPR and PBS and Channel 13. I'm talking about quote-unquote mainstream media, about what's happening in Gaza, about what they have to say about Israel. Absolute lies. And as I've told some people, some of them are in this room, and who are big quote-unquote Gaza supporters, I mean, just to make an analogy, there were, I looked this up before I came here, in 9/11, 3,000 people were killed at the World Trade Center. Israel has 1/34 the population of America. It has 9 million versus 333 million. So since 1,200 Israelis were murdered on October 7th, 2023, if the equivalent number of Americans had been killed in 9/11, that would have been 400,000 Americans. Imagine if 400,000 Americans had been killed in 9/11. How much pushback would there be about, well, we don't want to be too strong about retaliating, you know? Or 250 Israelis who were captured, kidnapped, and spent months and years being tortured, sexually abused or killed? What if there had been 8,500 Americans kidnapped? And one last thing, Mort is going to say this better than me, but one other thing about this entire issue, this wasn't like 9/11 where a building collapsed due, in my opinion, to architectural mismanagement. The architect who designed the World Trade Center was a jerk, and that's why it collapsed. It was poorly designed. Now, the Israelis who were captured didn't die in a massive building collapse. They were captured one by one, in many cases by people they knew, who had worked for them, and were, in many cases, killed on the spot after being tortured. People were beheaded, babies were thrown into ovens where they literally were incinerated, just like in the Holocaust. And this is one-on-one. And all those people who were kidnapped...
Are you saying the buildings, World Trade Center wouldn't have collapsed if it was built differently?
In my opinion, yes. But this is an issue I don't want to get into.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I've spoken to mechanical engineers who are familiar. At any rate, the point is, there was one large floor without adequate buttressing on the corners. And that's why it all pancaked. Okay, but anyway, what was I finishing up with? So yeah, this horrible pogrom, instead of gaining Israeli sympathy, has ironically and very strangely created a worldwide wave of anti-Semitism, which Mr. Klein will address. Mort Klein? Where are you? Oh, there you go. Thank you for coming.
Well, I think everything has been said already. Because Iran is, I think, on almost every one of
Speak into the microphone.
Because Iran is,
Right next to the mic.
I'm very tall, it's true. My mother would be shocked to hear it, but she'd be pleased to hear it. Do you think I should say a few words about Iran because it's an issue, or should I say
Yes.
more than a few? First of all, as ZOA, we are the oldest progressive group in the United States, founded in 1897. Louis Brandeis was president, Abba Silver, other distinguished people. We have a Center for Law and Justice, where we use the courts to fight for Israel and for Jews. We are the organization that fought for 6 years to change Title VI of the Civil Rights Act to cover Jews. It never covered Jews, just blacks and Hispanics. And when we were fighting for that, every Jewish organization, ADL, AJ Committee, AIPAC, told me, stop this fight. You don't start suing people. If you sue them, they'll hate you more. That's what I was told by Abe Fox. But we kept the fight. It took us 6 long years. 40 members of Congress helped that we organized. And now, every lawsuit you read about against any university would never be possible if it wasn't for the Zionist Organization of America, ZOA. We're very, very proud of that. We have a Center for Government Relations. We have full-time lobbyists in Capitol Hill. We are the organization that went to Senator John Kyle. Anyone remember Senator John Kyle? Arizona, excellent. He was arguably the best friend I ever dealt with in the Senate for Israel. He retired. He said, Mort, do you have any legislative ideas for me? I said, let's put legislation together to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He said, give me talking points. We at ZOA gave him talking points. He wrote the legislation and started lobbying for it. Every Jewish group said, don't do this. If you move the embassy, you're going to have incredible violence. Jews are going to die more because of you. Don't do it. And more, said AIPAC to me, said Malcolm Hoenlein to me, said Abe Foxman, David Harris, and the others. It will also destroy the peace process. You know, the wonderful peace process that we've been enjoying, it'll destroy it. And because none of the groups helped us, we only got 8 senators out of 100 on the bill. We couldn't get any more. John Kyle said, let's go to Bob Dole. Bob Dole was majority leader at the time from Kansas and also running for president at the time. This is 95, 96. We went to him. He said, I'll get on the bill if you can get the Jewish senators on it. Well, I asked Mr. John Kyle, I was there, but he was doing all the talking, get the Jewish senators. This is behind the scenes. People don't know this. We had a meeting with the 12 Jewish senators. You know the names, Lautenberg, Feinstein, Levin, Wyden.
This is before Schumer.
No, he
I think Schumer was there.
He was never,
Lieberman, they were all in the room.
Lieberman, he's a good guy.
We couldn't get a single Jewish senator on the bill. They said the same thing. Violence, destroy the peace process. We went back to Dole, and we said they won't go on the bill. But Kyle argued vociferously why this is moral, this is right. And he said, you'll also be getting a lot of Jewish money for your presidential campaign. He said, now I think I'll do it. Dole got on the bill. When Dole got on the bill, we went from 8 senators to 40 within a week because he's majority leader. He has lots of control and importance. Once we got 40, then AIPAC started lobbying for it. They were afraid that ZOA would get full credit for this important bill. And we ended up, but there was a poison pill put in. A poison pill that a president would not have to move the embassy if there was a security problem. That was Dianne Feinstein put that security waiver in. We fought to stop it. We couldn't. But the bill was passed 93-5 in the Senate, 347-37 in the House. It passed overwhelmingly. Bill Clinton was against this bill. He was fighting against it, but we had such an overwhelming number of members of the House and Senate for it that he couldn't veto it because it would be overridden. But he didn't sign it. If a president doesn't sign a bill, in 30 days it automatically becomes a law. Clinton refused to sign the bill, but in 30 days it became a law. And then a mere 18 years later, Donald Trump moved the embassy. So that was... So we've done many, many things of that nature, that virtually the whole Jewish community was against us for it. And we've been turned out to be right. We've been right about that Oslo will be a disaster, the Gaza withdrawal will be a disaster. By the way, we had a meeting 1 year ago in Israel with all the Jewish leaders in the meeting in Israel. Michael Oren was the speaker. If you remember him, the former ambassador from Israel to the United States. When Michael Oren saw me, he said, Mort, I want to acknowledge something in front of everyone here. Mort, you and ZOA have been right about everything. That's an exact quote from Michael Oren. And he said, my views now are closer to yours, Mort, than they've ever been. I said, Michael, as soon as your views are identical to ZOA's, then you'll be right all the time. And we have a campus division where we train kids how to respond to the nightmare lies about Israel. And we have a mission every year in Washington. We have literature in the back. Go to the back. Please pick up the literature from ZOA. Join us in June. Is it June?
June 9th.
June 9th. If you say, what can I do? This is something to do. One day, one lousy day, come and join us to lobby members of Congress. Your voice will be heard. It's something you can do. It's only one day, and it's something.
And we have a bus leaving from Midtown Manhattan. Make it easy.
We have a bus leaving. It's not for you. I got to pay for this bus. But we're making it convenient for you. Please join us. It's important. I'm pleased, by the way, to recognize Alan Jay, who's our executive director. Akiva Kovitz, who's our lead strategist and analyst, was with us. Liz Burney, who's one of our top lawyers and director of our research and special projects. I was afraid nobody was going to show up, so I brought my own people just in case.
Who are you going to meet with?
members of the House and Senate, we don't know yet. You'll meet with many members of the House and Senate or their staffers. The staffers are very important. They help the members of the House and Senate decide what to do legislatively. So meeting with staffers is almost really as important as meeting with the members of the House and Senate. There'll be plenty of members of the House and Senate as well as staffers. So let me say things about Iran. I mean, we don't have that much time, but the danger from the Islamic Republic of Iran, that's what it's called, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Did it begin on October 7th? Is that when the danger of Iran began? No. Iran has been at war with the United States and the West and Israel for almost 50 years. 50 years. In 1979, they captured 52 American hostages from the embassy in Tehran, kept them for 1.5 years. They murdered 241 Marines at the U.S. barracks in Lebanon. Iran killed almost 1,000 Americans in Iraq. Iran attacked the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, in Africa, and murdered many Americans there. Murdered Americans on the USS Cole. Murdered Americans in the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia. October 7th, Iran was behind that nightmare. 46 Americans were killed. And how about this? 9/11 was planned, facilitated, and funded training by Iran. In the legal document Havlich versus Bin Laden, in the law case, as Liz Burney, our attorney, found for us, that case shows very clearly that there was an alliance with Al-Qaeda with Iran. They planned to facilitate. 9/11 was in significant part due to Iran, and no one ever says it. I don't know why President Trump doesn't say it. This would make people understand this is a very serious issue, Iran. For 47 years, this nightmare has happened. Every president say Iran is a big problem. They're funding terrorists. They're funding Hamas all over the world. They funded the terrorists who killed 85 Jews in Argentina. They're developing intercontinental ballistic missiles. Intercontinental. That's not meant for Israel. Intercontinental. That's meant for us. That's what they're developing. Not to mention nuclear weapons. Not to mention nuclear weapons. So this is serious business. I wish President Trump would make it much more clear why this is so important. And after decades of our sanctions, negotiations, deals, limited retaliation, we concluded none of this was changing the strategic trajectory, and we had to go to war. By the way, the Obama deal that he made with Iran, that had sunset clauses. The sunset clause meaning all the restrictions on developing nukes and other restrictions would have ended this year. That means this year, according to that bill, they could develop nuclear weapons legally, without restrictions, legally. That was the nightmare of that deal. And people say, oh, well, Obama was trying to appease them. He thought if he's nice to them. And by the way, when we met with Obama, and I asked him myself, this deal, in 10 years, they have a sunset clause. They can do whatever they want. They said, don't worry, Mr. Klein. They will be moderated by then. Things will change. It's in the White House. And people say he was just trying to appease them. Was Obama just trying to appease them, thinking this would work? I will say something others will not say. The evidence is clear. President Obama was intentionally strengthening Iran so they could harm Israel and others. It was intentional.
100%. All the money.
Nobody is that ridiculous to think in 10 years they'll be moderated. Plus, even if you think that, you know it's not 100% likely. So even if it's 95% likely, you're going to take a risk to let them have nuclear weapons? It's ridiculous. So I believe that God, Hashem, made Donald Trump turn his head when that guy in Butler, PA shot at him, which saved his life. Just turning his head like this to look at something that was on the screen there saved his life. I believe this is a miracle from God because he wanted President Trump. I didn't talk to God. I'm just speculating. Just speculating. I rarely talk to God. It's so infrequent. He wanted Trump to oversee the most important war to defend the United States of America, defend our values, defend our way of life, defend the West, and defend Israel that we have fought since World War II. This is the most important war since World War II. I wish more people would understand that. This is good versus evil. Winston Churchill said, a civilization and country is not destroyed by evil men and women. It is destroyed by weak and frightened people who will not defend a righteous and good country. And that good country is the United States of America. And now Donald Trump is defending this righteous and good country that we are, by the way, I have to say, you hear me make sounds, I have facial tics, I have Tourette syndrome. It's a neurochemical disorder I've had since age 5. Which I can't control, unfortunately, but I ignore it. Even though other people can't ignore it, that's your problem.
You're clear.
We are fighting the Islamic Republic of Iran, who at weekly rallies proclaim, death to America, death to Israel, America is the great Satan, Israel is the little Satan. Do you think this is a minor thing? This is the government of Iran saying, this is not the Ku Klux Klan, this is not a fringe group. This is the government of the country saying death to America. When Hitler was saying death to the Jews, it wasn't a fringe group in Germany. This was the government of Germany. That's serious. So when they're saying it, they mean it. And when they have the means, they're ready to destroy the United States of America. And by the way, in podcasts that Iran puts out, they regularly say, first we're going to kill all the Jews. They say it openly. But next, we're going to kill all the Christians. They say it openly. And then we're going to kill the rest of the kafirs. That's the term in the Quran, which means non-Muslim people. And then they say, we'll create an Islamic caliphate and take over the world. They say it openly and publicly. This is a serious danger. Thank God Almighty that Donald Trump is fighting this monstrous regime. We have to take him seriously. Israel's taking him seriously. We are. Rabbi Soloveitchik, the great scholar, said that the miracle of Purim wasn't that we won over our enemy, over Haman and our enemies. He said the miracle was that was one of the few times when when you had leaders of a country saying we want to kill all the Jews actually believed it. That's very rare. We usually don't believe it. Now we're believing it. And just as I wrote in a recent op-ed in USA Today, I said, if Israel didn't exist, if there was no Israel, America still had to go to war. This has nothing to do with Israel. Israel's benefiting by this, but if there's no Israel, America had to go to war against this dangerous, corrupt, human rights suppressing Islamic Republic of Iran, who endangers America with imminent threats. They already have intercontinental ballistic missiles that can go 2,500 miles, that can carry a nuclear warhead. And they were developing them to go a little further to be able to reach America. This is serious business. I'm going to cut some of this out in the interest of time. President Trump, he keeps saying these Iranian Muslim leaders are crazy, they're lunatics, they're mentally ill. Are they? No. They are fanatically religious Shiite Muslims who believe in the literal meaning of the words in the Quran, in which Allah promotes hostility and even violence and murder toward non-Muslims and non-Muslim states. They promote Islamic rule over all the world. This is a religious Islamic belief. They are not mentally ill. This is their fanatical religious beliefs. Why is Iran launching missiles at their brothers and sisters in other Arab countries? They're doing this, one, to try and get these countries to pressure America to stop the war. But two, they believe if there's enormous chaos in the world, as the Quran states, there's enormous chaos which they believe will be created by hitting these other countries, that their Muslim Messiah, the Mahdi, will be more readily coming back to earth. So they think this is good to have this type of chaos. It's a religious belief of these Islamic religious fanatic. We have to understand this. In fact, the Jews and the world has to understand that this Arab-Islamic war against the United States and the West and Israel is not about land. It's not about a Palestinian state. If it was, It would have been resolved in the 30s, when Britain, its Peel Commission, offered the Palestinian Arabs 95% of the rest of Palestine, and the Arabs said no, because they will not accept Israel within any boundaries, no matter how small. And they were offered states in 48, 2000, 2001, 2008, 2010. They said no every single time. This is not about land. This is a religious war against Israel and the West. No lesser a man than the president of Egypt, President El-Sisi, said several years ago to Al-Azhar University, it's the most important theological Islamic university in Cairo in the world, and he said in a public speech, El-Sisi, "Is it possible that 2 billion Muslims should want to kill the rest of the world's inhabitants? That's 7 billion people. Impossible. We are in need of a religious revolution," says El-Sisi. "You imams, you religious priests, are responsible before Allah. The entire world is waiting. It is inconceivable that the thinking of what we hold most sacred, we Muslims, should cause the entire Islamic nation to be a source of anxiety, danger, killing, and destruction for the rest of the world. Impossible." So he publicly understood this is a religious Islamic problem. It is not about land or any other. And he was condemned throughout the Middle East for this, and he never said another word. But he did say it. And many others, by the way, have given similar speeches. You have to understand this is a religious war. This is a religious war. Now it's clear that Iran is an extremely religious country, now being run by the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Even though they've killed many layers of leaders, these leaders are just as radical, just as committed as the ones that they've already killed. And we can be sure that the IRGC will never fulfill any deal that's made. They will cheat, they'll violate it. The only solution is real regime change. Nothing else will work. If this regime remains in power, no matter how good some deal may seem, they'll not fulfill it anyway. And as you see, what are they offering now? Iran is offering, we'll open up the Straits of Hormuz, that's blocking oil shipments and other shipments, if you end the war. That's a deal? What's America getting? That's what we had before the war. That's a deal? I mean, this is lunacy. I mean, Trump has said that's not enough. What? No, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's totally absurd. I mean, the deal has to say, with guarantees, to stop, to get rid of all the uranium, all the plutonium, have inspections, to stop funding terrorist groups around the world, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, and to stop developing intercontinental ballistic missiles. And even if they make deal, which is comprehensive, which they're not agreeing to at all, you have to have people inspecting regularly. You know, the deal with Obama, if I remember correctly, they had to inspect their facilities, they had to give 30-day notice. Well, that's nice. That'll work out nice. I'm sure they won't do anything in that 30 days to change anything in those facilities. And we weren't allowed to inspect the military facilities, where a lot of the work was going on. It was a ridiculous deal. Do you know in that deal, which passed in the House and Senate, do you know that a higher percentage of Jewish members of the House and Senate voted for that deal than non-Jewish members? A higher percentage of Jews voted for it than non-Jews.
What is the matter with the American Jews?
Democrats.
This is not a session about psychology or psychiatry. I'm not going to get into it. That's another issue.
They're Democrats.
That's true.
Even if they drop TDS, they're still deranged.
Absolutely.
And now some in the political world here in Europe, they're blaming Israel for pressuring Trump to go to war. They're saying it's Bibi Netanyahu. And who was the most recent person to publicly claim it's all because of Netanyahu we're at war?
Tucker Carlson?
Governor Josh Shapiro.
Oh, my God.
The Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, where I live,
Disgusting.
has publicly stated it's all Netanyahu's fault. Can you believe
That
that?
is
We don't have
disgusting.
enough anti-Semitism. We have to have a Jewish governor saying it's because of the Jews we've gone to war, and he says this war is against America's interests. So he says it's against America's interests, and the Jews have forced it. Josh Shapiro.
Wow. What a sellout, total sellout.
And he used the term bullying. He said that Netanyahu has bullied Trump into this. He uses a terrible term, bullying, as if it's like an anti-Semitic term almost, that the Jews are bullying Trump to do this. How absurd is it that Israel could force Trump and his administration a war that they wouldn't want to be involved in? Israel is a $700 billion economy, $700 billion. America's a $27 trillion economy. I mean, it's ridiculous. What threats could Israel make to America to make them do it if they're against it? What leverage? It's nonsense. Israel has no leverage against America. Yes, it's conceivable that Bibi explained to him why he thinks it's important, but then Trump makes a decision on whether he thinks it is important. Israel has no leverage to force Trump to do something he is against. It's nonsense. And Trump, only a few days ago, said publicly, nobody has forced or bullied me into doing this. I did this because it's in the interest of the United States of America. That was my decision on my own. It had nothing to do with anyone forcing me to do something against my will. You read many articles saying that we are losing. I believe we are winning. By the way, it's extraordinary that the Arab countries have all joined Israel, and most of the Arab countries, against Iran. The Arab countries, by the way, in the media every day, in the Arab media every single day, they're screaming, the Arab countries, condemning Iran and demanding Iran should vanish. Every day. This is extraordinary. It's never happened before. So they're going against their own Islamic country of Iran. And China is also speaking to leaders of Arab countries, pleading with them to pressure America to open up the Straits of Hormuz because they're suffering so badly. So look, this war has been miraculous. We've really degraded Iran in a serious way. It's not over. We need to do more. We've destroyed 90% of their missiles, 80% of their drones, 50% of their launchers, 100 leaders, 10,000 terrorists. Their air force, their navy, almost totally destroyed. 160 ships have been destroyed. They're at the bottom of the sea. And it's a miracle that UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia have not joined Iran. They've joined Israel and America in this war. We have total air superiority. We've destroyed factories that can build missiles. So I believe we are winning this war. Donald Trump has brought in a number of anti-aircraft carriers now into the area in preparation for possibly starting a renewed military action if they don't get a proper deal. So I am confident that things are going well. I don't think they should have stopped the war when they did. Stop the war when they in World War II. We didn't stop for a few months to rest. You keep fighting until you win. But there's other issues involved that Trump, he has enormous pressure. Put some in his own party, and of course the whole Democratic Party. I wish Donald Trump would really go on television, do a 20-minute lecture as to why we're in this war. He hasn't done it. I asked many people in my travels, why do you think we're in this war? No one has an answer for me. They don't understand it. And if they understood it, they would be in support of it. So that's my Iran speech. So I guess I can stop now. No? No. God. Haven't I spoken enough already?
No.
I only charged you for one speech. No, I didn't charge. I'm getting no pay for this.
I know.
Although I did have a couple of cookies. Let me show you a picture of the Middle East. I think that's as much of value as anything. This is the Middle East. The orange countries are the 21 Arab countries. The orange, you see the orange. The yellow that you can't see is Israel. Where is it? It's the yellow there. You can't see it. And by the way, that yellow is actually smaller than what you see because Israel's given some control over Gaza and over parts of Judea and Samaria. So actually, Israel is actually smaller than what you see. The Arab world is about 800 times the size of Israel. Israel is about 1/8 of 1% of the land mass. And they're screaming, the resolution to this Arab war against Israel is called Land for Peace. And who's giving up the land? Is this ridiculous? I mean, it's ridiculous. So that's, when I speak to college kids, they think Israel's the size of Germany or Poland. They're shocked that it's actually a little smaller than New Jersey. It is smaller than New Jersey.
That's crazy.
The Arabs have gained growing support in America, on college campuses and throughout the world, by demonizing Israel, lying about Israel with the ugliest propaganda lies imaginable. They say Israel has stolen the Arabs say Israel has stolen our holy land, they oppress our people, they make our lives miserable, they murder our babies, they murder our children, they murder us, they've taken away all of our human rights, they won't give us a small state where we can live our lives in peace and harmony. They have checkpoints. Over the years, this has surely led to increased anti-Zionism, which has morphed openly into the most vicious Jew hatred, anti-Semitism, since the 30s. Maybe in some sense it's even worse. It's really quite astonishing. And since the Arabs have gained support and influence by lying about us, it's time that Jewish leaders, Israeli leaders, rabbis start telling the truth about these issues that the Arabs are lying about. I met 3 years ago, before 10/7, with a major Israeli leader, a name you would know, I don't want to mention it, and I told him, and the speech is given by the Israeli officials, not to mention Jewish leaders and rabbis, they never explain the truth about Jerusalem occupation, the Palestinian Arabs, about Abbas. They don't condemn these people. I said, the worst that you say about Abbas, the worst you ever say, he's not a partner for peace. Right? That's the worst you hear. Is this the proper term? It means he's a lovely guy. He's just not a partner for peace. No, he's a monster. Why are we calling him that? And by the way, this very important official in Israel, when I was expressing my deep concern that you're not promoting the truth of the Arab-Islamic war against Israel, he said to me, Mort, this was a 2-hour meeting, by the way. We sat together a long time. Mort, that is simply not important. All that's important, Mort, is that we develop our high-tech industry, and they'll be knocking down our doors. That is what he said to me.
It's crazy.
I don't get it to this day. See, they don't get it. Look, part of the problem is the media is biased and hates Israel.
That's right.
But a bigger part of the problem is Israel does not promote the truth about these issues.
Yep.
So, they should be talking about these things publicly. The Arabs, every time they're on television, they stole our land, they kill our babies, they oppress us. I mean, every time, and so people start thinking Israel's monsters. We don't push back. For example, Jerusalem. The Arabs are not only demanding Eastern Jerusalem, they're demanding all of Jerusalem, saying this is our holy place, and we're demanding it.
Nonsense.
And does Israel ever tell the truth about Jerusalem? The truth about Jerusalem is it is not holy to Muslims.
It's not.
It's not holy to Muslims. Jerusalem was the capital of Israel under King David 3,000 years ago. It's never been the capital of any nation except Israel in history. When the Arab conquered Palestine, which was a region, not a country, in 716 they made Ramlah their capital, not Jerusalem. They understood Jerusalem as the Jewish place. Our holy place is in eastern Jerusalem. By the way, you notice it's called the Temple Mount, not the Mosque Mount, the Temple Mount, because our holy temple was there. That's why it's called the Temple Mount. The Arabs scream, well, the mosque there is our third holiest place. Well, the Temple Mount is our number 1 holiest place. The Western Wall is the number 2 holiest place. Why don't we say that? And the majority of people living in Jerusalem, since the first census in the 1850s, the majority of people living there have been Jews. I don't think many people know that. We're the majority there since the mid-1800s. I have a Bedeker's Guide to Jerusalem, 1906. 1906, it says there were 60,000 people in Jerusalem. 40,000 were Jewish, 13,000 were Christians, 7,000 Muslims. 2/3 of Jerusalem in 1906 were Jews. Our Jewish holy books, Jerusalem is mentioned 700 times. As many of you know, it's never mentioned in the Quran. The word Jerusalem is never there. And by the way, when I wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post, they actually published it.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, they did. That Jerusalem is not holy to Muslims. I went through it. They published 7 letters bitterly attacking. 7 letters. They were threatened, and they published 7 letters. And they said, Muhammad went from Jerusalem to heaven. What is this Klein saying? He went from Jerusalem to heaven. Of course, it's holy to us. Our prophet went from Jerusalem to heaven. Is that what the Quran says? First of all, the Quran says it was a dream that Muhammad has of going to heaven. A dream. It didn't really happen. I have many dreams. I'm grateful that most of them have not really happened. Never happened. And what it says is that he went from the farthest mosque to heaven. From the farthest mosque to heaven. What could have said Jerusalem? It's a famous city. Didn't say it. And at the time of the Quran, there was not a single mosque in Jerusalem. So of course it couldn't be Jerusalem. So this is just a gigantic lie. We Jews, we face Jerusalem when we pray. The Muslims face Mecca. From 48 to 67, Jordan, for that 19-year period, controlled Jerusalem. It became a slum. There was virtually no water, electricity, or plumbing. There were 58 synagogues in eastern Jerusalem that Jordan controlled. They destroyed all of them. They bombed all of them. They dynamited all of them. They destroyed them. The Mount of Olives Cemetery, they destroyed that. And here's the most incredible thing. Except for the leaders of Jordan, no Arab leader ever visited Jerusalem when they controlled it for those 19 years. If it's so damn holy to them, why didn't any Arab leader visit it? Because it's not. Because Mecca and Medina are their holy places, not Jerusalem. So we should be saying that. By the way, when I gave a speech just about Jerusalem, I gave a whole speech on it in LA at the biggest conservative synagogue in the country. After my speech, and it got a standing ovation. Why? Because almost all the people sitting there were Iranian Jews.
Oh, of course.
They understand.
Yes.
So I got a standing ovation, even though the little booklet you get when you walk in, it says, no applause, no noise, nothing. And they couldn't control themselves. They were so thrilled. The rabbi got up to the podium and said, I'm very unhappy with Mr. Klein's speech. I don't want Morton Klein to tell the Muslims what's holy to them. Because I don't want the Muslims telling me what's holy to Jews. That's what he said. And I got up to the podium. I said, well, are you telling me if the Muslims say that Beverly Hills and Bel Air is holy to them, do we have to give it to them? No, just because they say it doesn't mean anything. Now, if there's evidence that Beverly Hills is holy, we got to deal with it. If there's evidence that Jerusalem is really holy, we have to deal with it. But just because they say Jerusalem is holy, I don't give a damn that they say it. It's not true, and that's why we shouldn't consider it whatsoever. Just very briefly, the apartheid slur. I mean, this is so absurd. You know, when I speak in college campuses, I tell them, should I bring up apartheid? It's so ludicrous. Of course there's no apartheid. No, the kids all believe there's apartheid. I'm always shocked by that. But of course, every Israeli citizen, Arabs, Muslims, everyone, Christians, they can vote, they can speak out. They can speak out even against Israel's existence. There's a free press. An Arab judge has passed sentences on former presidents of the country. The Arabs have served as government ministers, ambassadors, high-ranking army officers, heads of the border. 12 members of the Knesset are Arabs. They've been in the Knesset since 1948. 20% of Haifa University students, 10% of their faculty are Arabs. This is absolute nonsense. There's apartheid. Absolutely. It is an insult to the real apartheid of South Africa to say that Israel is an apartheid state. And yet, you know, when you say things often enough, people start to believe it. And Mahmoud Abbas. Why aren't we making it clear that Mahmoud Abbas is a monstrous, anti-Semitic, disgraceful human being? He's a Holocaust denier. He wrote his PhD thesis denying the Holocaust. He says no Jew will be allowed in Palestine once we get started. Once we establish the state of Palestine. He glorifies Jew-killing terrorists. When they die, he has parades and speeches glorifying them. Abbas pays pensions.
Slay to pay.
They pay lifetime pensions to Arabs to murder Jews. The more Jews they murder, the higher their lifetime pension. And the pension is 5 times the average salary of a Palestinian. It's very lucrative to murder Jews. Why are we... You know, when I say this on college campuses, they never heard of it. I have to take out my cell phone look up the Taylor Force Act, which is about this issue, and read it to them. They never heard of it. We don't make this an issue. I mean, this is heinous. They spend $400 million a year paying Arabs to murder Jews. Abbas and the Palestinian Authority are a monstrous Arab Nazi regime. That's they have shows on TV like this beautiful Arab girl saying, what could be better than going to paradise? They have shows regularly teaching little kids to become suicide bombers, to kill themselves, killing Jews. It's on television all the time. So textbooks promote hatred and violence against Israel. You wouldn't believe. The editor of the New York Times, a number of years ago, actually visited a family of suicide bombers and was shocked that the bomber's mother was saying to him, and he wrote about this, quote, I was very happy when I heard my son committed a suicide bombing. To be a martyr, that's really something. Very few people can do it. I hope my other children do the same. This is their mentality. They're not the same as other mothers. They think this is a great mitzvah when their son or daughter kills themselves. And when a son or daughter kills themselves, they have parties, like a bar mitzvah. They have ads in the papers, come, they have casseroles, they have buffet layouts. They celebrate this like a wedding.
My God.
This is a different mentality. Why aren't we making this clear? Why aren't we telling people this? Every Israeli leader should be talking about this. Every Jewish leader should. The rabbis should. So people know. Nobody knows these things. How monstrous this culture is, which it is. The Fatah covenant, the Fatah charter, not the PLO charter, the Fatah, the ruling party's charter right now, says we oppose any political solution offered as an alternative to demolishing the Zionist occupation of Palestine. This struggle will not cease until the Zionist state is demolished and Palestine is completely liberated. Their charter openly calls for Israel's destruction, and no one knows. I mean, people who go on TV and radio, Israelis and Jewish leaders, they should be showing this and speaking about this. But they don't do it. They're atlases. This is a real atlas. You can see the Arabic on it. The yellow is Israel within the green line. You can see the yellow there? The green here, that's Judea and Samaria. This green is Gaza. What does it say for the yellow, which is Israel within the green line? There's 6 or 7 lines, armistice lines, really. Palestine. Israel is not mentioned in the atlas. Doesn't exist. People should know this. They're against Israel's very existence. And when an Arab kills a Jew, they put posters like this. They honor Jew killers by having posters like this in schools, universities, hospitals. They're everywhere, doing pictures of people who have murdered Jews. And what is their emblem? And this is really tells you the whole story. This is the official emblem that the Israeli, when they go on television, should be holding this up and saying, this is it. This is the official Fatah of all of Israel, kafir over it. Over all of it, not just Judea and Samaria and Gaza. All of it. Not our fight in the center and a Kalashnikov rifle. Is this the emblem you choose if you want peace with the Jewish state of Israel? And have any of you ever seen this emblem? No. Almost none. Almost none. No one. Why? This should be common that it's held up whenever they go on television. Or when Bibi speaks to Congress, he should hold it up and say, this is it. We don't promote our truths. A number of years ago, when we had one of the leaders of the Palestinian Authority speak to the Jewish leadership in Israel, all the heads of the Jewish organizations were there. I forget the guy's name. He was a top official of the Palestinian Authority. And when he finished speaking, I got up and asked the first question, and I said, if you really want peace, sir, I had his name then, I don't today, why do you have this emblem? With all of Israel's Palestine. I mean, this makes it clear. You're not interested in peace, you're interested in destroying Israel. Is this the emblem you choose? You want peace? Here you're talking about peace. What about this emblem? When I held this up in front of all my colleagues around me, they started saying, sit down, stop it. You're embarrassing us. He's our guest. Stop it.
Oh, my God.
You'll make him hate us worse. Stop it.
Oh,
Yes.
Christ.
That's firsthand. That's
Never forget.
me.
Never
I was
forget.
there. And one of the Jewish leaders whose name you would know, sitting on the podium next to this Arab leader of the Palestinian Authority, started doing this. started doing this, cut it, and I was put down that, and put it down.
So much for never forget.
That's the Jewish leadership world, I'm afraid to say. That's the Jewish leadership world. And all the rabbis, Israeli officials, they allow people to scream that there's an occupation. Right? We occupy Arab land.
Right, right.
I mean, this is one of the big deals that I hear from college kids all the way. You're occupied, you stole their land, there's an occupation. Is there really an occupation? Occupation means that you illegally stole someone else's sovereign land. Illegally stole someone else's sovereign land. Is that what happened? I don't have time to go into great detail. I could. In 1917, Britain legally controlled this area under international law. And the Balfour Declaration gave this land as a mandate for a future Jewish state. They legally could give this over. In 1948, when they officially established the first real two-state solution, and by the way, the two-state solution was 20% of the original Balfour Declaration. 80% of the original Balfour Declaration that's supposed to be part of the Jewish state was given to first Transjordan, then it became Jordan. So there was only 20% left, and that was essentially split in half. And when that was offered, of course, 5 or 6 Arab countries went to war to destroy Israel. And from 48 to 67, when Jordan controlled Judea and Samaria, Egypt controlled Gaza, only 2 countries in the world recognized it. It was not legal. It was not legal. And there's never, by the way, of course, been a Palestinian Arab country. And Palestine is actually a Roman name. How could this have been an Arab country and they have a Roman name? Philistinia, Palestine? And Israel has essentially given rights away to 40% of Judea and Samaria until this recent war, 100% of Gaza. 99% of the Palestinian Arabs live in that area. There's no occupation. They control their own lives. They have their own parliament, their own schools, their own textbooks, their own newspapers, their own radio and TV, their own business, their own police force. Israel only controls security because there are constant terrorist attacks coming from the Arab areas into Israel. And in 1988, Jordan relinquished all claims to Judea and Samaria. Said, it's not mine, do whatever you want with it. Why aren't we explaining this? And by the way, under international law, the San Remo Resolution 1920 was a binding international agreement legally obligating that the mandatory Balfour Declaration for the establishment of Palestine as a national home for the Jewish people was passed part of the San Remo Resolution. The UN Charter Article 80. UN Charter Article 80 says it prohibits the United Nations from transferring rights over any part of Palestine to any non-Jewish entity, such as a Palestinian state. UN resolutions that contradict this charter are void. So under international law, this is absolutely Jewish land. We don't make that argument. And we have to really do that. We just don't do it. And finally, a Palestinian state. People are screaming, end this nightmare, just give them a state already, and things will be fine. But as many of you know now, we at ZOA knew it a long time ago. By the way, let me say, the reason ZOA has been right about understanding that Oslo is a disaster, that Gaza withdrawal is a disaster, is not because we are visionaries or we have some brilliant insights. We really followed Winston Churchill's dictum. Winston Churchill said, you must look at the facts, for the facts are looking at you. You must look at the facts, for the facts are looking at you. In other words, even if you don't look at what's going on, it's still going on. So you better follow it, because if you ignore it and say, it's painful, I don't want to deal with it, it's happening. That's what we did. We looked at the facts of Oslo. We saw them committing terrorism right away. We saw they didn't change the PLO covenant. We saw the horrible speech of Arafat, and we said, he's not serious, it's a fraud. Nobody else wanted to say it because that meant we're not getting peace, and they couldn't bear that. And the same with the Gaza withdrawal. So a Palestinian state, they were offered a state in 1937 on 95% of the rest of Palestine. Remember, 80% Jordan, 20% left. The Peel Commission offered 95% of the rest of Palestine to the Arabs. They said no, because they wouldn't accept Israel even within 5% of the rest of Palestine. They were offered a state, of course, in 48, 2000, 2008, 2001, 2010. From 48 to 67, who controlled what they say they want to state? Judea and Samaria, Eastern Jerusalem, and Gaza. The Arabs controlled it. Did they set up a state? No. Because that's not their interest. Did Arafat start bombing Jordanian planes, say, give us Judea and Samaria? Did he start bombing Egyptian planes, saying, we want Gaza? No, because that is not the interest. And by the way, will this resolve anything if they have a state, which they've rejected? Syria has a state, Iran has a state, North Korea has a state. Are they lovely? No. Having a state only gives them more power to promote their ugly, ugly agenda. Offered them everything. Not a compromise. He offered them 97% of Judea and Samaria, 100% of Gaza, half of Jerusalem. Only kept 3% of Judea and Samaria because a 500,000 Jews live there. He can't give it away. And offered them 3% of Israel proper to make up. I asked Omed myself. I called him. I said, "How could you make this insane offer? I can't believe it." He said, and I said, "But they didn't accept it. Why didn't they accept it? What's going on?" He said, "Mort, Abbas called me after he read the offer and said, I'll accept it if you get rid of 3 clauses." This is Omer talking to me. Get rid of 3 clauses. 1, get rid of the clause that says that we support Israel as a Jewish state. I'll never agree to that. 2, get rid of the clause that says to limit the number of Arab refugees to bring into Israel proper to 150,000. I want no limits. 3, you got to get rid of the clause that says there'll be no further claims. And Omer says to me, he said, Abbas, but that's the deal. I'm giving you everything. It's not even a compromise. So it's over. And Abbas said, I will never sign something saying no further claims because they want the war to continue until Israel doesn't exist. That's why a so-called two-state solution is nonsense. And yet, I think ZOA is the only Jewish organization among the major organizations that publicly opposes a Palestinian state. I don't know any other Jewish organization that does. If you do, let me know. And that includes all of the Orthodox. And the foreign minister of Israel, Gideon Sar, met with us about a year ago in Jerusalem with all the Jewish leaders, so-called leaders, and begged us, please come out publicly opposing a Palestinian state. We're getting enormous pressure. Please come out. This is the foreign minister of Israel. He said to them, 80% of the Israelis oppose a state now. This is after 10/7. The prime minister publicly makes it clear opposing a state now. Please come out against the state. I went over to Moshe Hauer, may he rest in peace, the head of the Orthodox Union. Are you going to come out against the state? The foreign minister just asked us to. My board will never allow me to. I can't do that. I asked Dan Mariashin, the head of B'nai B'rith, will you come out against the state? Mort, it's too controversial. I can't do that. Not a single organization in this past year, since they were asked to do it, has come out against the Palestinian state. In fact, the head of the American Jewish Committee, Ted Deutsch, has publicly written an op-ed within the past year saying we need a Palestinian state. We need it, as opposed to opposing it. Dennis Ross, the head of the Washington Center for Near East Policy, wrote an op-ed in the past year saying not only do we need it, we need Abbas to be the head of this new state. That's Dennis Ross. So way one minimize this Arab Islamic war against Israel is to stop. We have to fight to stop funding. Trump has stopped funding. We have to stop handcuffing Israel's ability to destroy the Islamic terror groups run by the Palestinian Authority and by Iran and Hezbollah. There has to be a worldwide constant condemnation, which we haven't had. But despite that, I must say, our history tells us that we have miracles, which has really saved us throughout history. We arose from the onslaughts throughout the Middle Ages, from the pogroms in the 1800s, miraculously arising from the ashes of Auschwitz to recreate our beautiful state of Israel. This is the lesson of our history, that the indomitable spirit of the Jews, with our belief in ourselves and our culture and our talent and our Torah and Almighty God, we can never be destroyed, for God promised that we would be an eternal people. And so it will be. I will end this double speech. No pay.
Take a box.
By simply rapping an extraordinary song written by the only folk singer to win a Nobel Prize in Literature. Who was that? Bob Zimmerman. You got it wrong. Bob Zimmerman won a Nobel Prize for Literature. Remarkable. Bobby Zimmerman. And Bobby Zimmerman said to his mom, "Mom, I have a Nobel Prize in Literature. Isn't that something? You should have gone to medical school." So, Bob Dylan wrote a song in 1984. It's a long time ago. In fact, this song is on the wall of the Museum of the Diaspora in Tel Aviv. And few people know about the song. It's called The Neighborhood Bully. Neighborhood Bully is sarcasm, meaning Israel, which of course is not the neighborhood bully. It's sarcasm. This is the Bob Dylan song. Well, the neighborhood bully, he's just one man. His enemies say he's on their land. They got him outnumbered about 1,000,000 to 1. He's got no place to escape to, no place to run. He's the neighborhood bully. The neighborhood bully just lives to survive. He's criticized and condemned just for being alive. He's not supposed to fight back. He's supposed to have thick skin. He's supposed to lay down and die when his door is kicked in. He's the neighborhood bully, Israel. The neighborhood bully's been driven out of every land. He's wandered the earth an exiled man. He's seen his family scattered, his people hounded and torn. He's always on trial just for being born. He's the neighborhood bully. Well, he knocked out an Arab lynch mob. He was criticized. Everyone condemned him, said he should apologize. Then he destroyed an Arab bomb factory. Nobody was glad. The bombs were meant for him. He was supposed to feel bad. He's the neighborhood bully. Well, the chances are against it. The odds are slim. That he'll live by the rules that the world makes for him. There's a noose at his neck and a gun at his back, and a license to kill him is given out to every maniac. He's the neighborhood bully.
Wow.
He's got few allies to really speak up about this. Well, he's surrounded by Arab pacifists who all want peace. They pray for it nightly, and the bloodshed must cease. Now, the Arabs wouldn't hurt a fly. To hurt one, they would weep. They lay and they wait for this bully to fall asleep. He's the neighborhood bully. Every empire that's enslaved him is gone. Egypt and Rome, even the great Babylon. He's made a garden of paradise in the desert sand, in bed with nobody, under no one's command. He's the neighborhood bully. Now, his holiest books have been trampled upon. No contract he signed was worth what it was written on. He took the crumbs of the world, he turned it into wealth. He took sickness and disease, turned it into health, medical research. He's the neighborhood bully. What's anybody indebted to him for? Nothing, they say. He just likes to cause war. Pride and prejudice and superstition indeed. They wait for this bully like a dog waiting to feed. He's the neighborhood bully. What has he done to deserve to wear so many scars? Does he change the course of rivers? Does he pollute the moon and stars? Neighborhood bully standing on the hill, running out the clock, time standing still. He's the neighborhood bully. That's Bob Dylan. When he was asked, is this about Israel? He says, oh no. That's what he said. He said, it's just a song. So, I have one more sentence, but I can't find it. All right, let me just say, so we have to be strong and not be afraid, for God is with us. The cause of Israel is moral and just. Truth and justice and God are on the side of Israel. Our holy Torah promises we're an eternal people, never to be destroyed. So it has been, so will continue to be. So with your help, and help ZOA be stronger, join us. And join organizations like this that promote the right, the truth of the Arab-Islamic war against Israel. And with the strength and will of the Israeli people and the IDF, with the help of Almighty God, new miracles that we can't foresee will occur, and the people of Israel shall dwell in their holy land for eternity. We will prevail. Thank you very, very much.
Here, take this one.
Okay, Q&A, questions, short 15-second questions. This lady here, Larry,
I can just speak.
there you go. No, take the mic.
Hi, nice to see you again.
Oh, Kathy.
Hi. So, just as a side note, you didn't mention the UAE today was a big moment in the Arab world where they left OPEC.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
So
I
four,
don't know
Oh,
everything.
yeah, that's right.
They left up there to say no longer are we going to be part of OPEC.
Wow, no, I didn't know it.
so my question to you is, I was part of the, hostage poster group, and I would always carry, pictures of Kafir and Ariel Beavis with me to explain to people, what was going on. And this was ripped down. We did it twice a week, 3 times a week. And it was very much, I was assaulted twice, very much they were trying to get a lot of disinformation out there in terms of covering up the truth, which is why I always carried it.
Don't
And
use a euphemism, disinformation. Lies.
So, and that group was great because it morphed into our ABZ group, anyone but Zoran. I spoke to a couple of you here. I'm a Republican, I ran for Congress.
What is your
What's the
question?
question?
Yes.
But my question is, I was at the gym the other day, and I had my trainer, I'm a woman, we sort of just go around, but my trainer said to me, oh, I didn't realize Co Allen was part of the IDF. And I knew what he was talking about. It was the soccer shirt that they AI'd, and I looked at him, I was sort of surprised, and I said, that's AI, it's not real. We know who put that out there, we know who,
What's your
disseminated-
question, please?
The question is, I'm not there to personally tell everybody in the world this is fake, but Twitter is not responding at all to any of our complaints about these people that are putting out all this false information that someone like even this young man who happens to be
I'm
Jewish
waiting for the
believes.
question. Come on, other people have questions. It's not
Sorry,
fair.
my question is, do you have any influence, at X?
No, I don't have any influence. We write, we have our own social media where we promote these horrible truths that you just mentioned about this phony AI business. Then we go on TV and radio, we write op-eds, we speak all over the country. But specifically with X, I don't know why Elon Musk allows this, because I would not think he'd be sympathetic to this, I don't think. But social media is a big problem. And social media is promoting the most vicious hatred against Jews. There's many of the billionaires have paid people large amounts of money to regularly post on social media. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars with people being paid, just like these rallies. These people are paid. I went to one of the rallies against Israel, and I said to the person sitting next to me, I said, I'm getting $70 for this. Are you getting paid? He said, you're only getting 70, I'm getting 150. Yes, that's a true story. Wow. These people are paid by George Soros and other such billionaires to rally. And the organizers are paid very big salaries to organize these rallies. It's not from their grassroots. No, what you said is a very big problem. And I don't know quite how to grapple it, except we try our best to promote the truth.
Thank you.
Wait for the mic.
You should ask for a raise. Anyway, I'd like to know what is going on, because I haven't heard anything lately because of the war. What's going on between Israel and Hamas? Are they rearming? Are they recruiting?
Yes,
And why the news blackout?
Hamas is rearming, reorganizing, strengthening. It's very frightening. People. And they have, it's as I said, it's miraculous how well they've done. It's just miraculous. But yes, that's happening. But I will tell you this: the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they're having trouble recruiting. People don't want to join them. They're afraid of being killed. And recruit 5,000 people. They went around with college kids on campuses screaming about this. So no, this is a problem. And this was going to have to deal with them. They are dealing with it a little bit. They're retaliating, but it's certainly a problem.
Lou in the back. Wait for the mic. And a quick question.
Hi, the question, like a statement and a question, right?
No statements allowed.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
The pro-Israel perspective is not competitive, right? So you talked about the Soros and the, funding of the college.
By the way, Soros' real name, was Schwartz. That's
Okay.
George Schwartz, he changed his name. Go ahead.
Okay, right, so what I think, there's gotta be like a overhaul of the messaging, and it's a type of new strategic, perspective, because what you're up against an anti-Israel fashion. It's like a fashion, right? So the facts, nobody cares about the facts. The kids want to be cool, and the way to be cool is to be anti-Israel. So we got to work on
What's your
making it. Okay. It's just a critique of what I'm hearing, because the facts, people go in one ear and out the other, right? They want to be cool. That's why they're anti-Israel. We're gonna make it uncool to be anti-Israel, and then
It's painful for me to say, sir, you are painfully correct. That is one of the problems. I cannot understand why it's cool to be anti-Israel, but it's become, it means you care about justice and try to protect people because there's genocide. They have genocide. Israel has the lowest ratio of civilians killed to military people killed, to soldiers killed, 1-to-1 in the history of armed warfare. Typically in the war, you're killing 6 civilians for each soldier killed, military person killed, 6 to 10. Israel, it's 1-to-1. It's unbelievable. And by the way, why are people caring about enemy civilians who are monsters? You all voted for Hamas. They want Israel destroyed. Did we worry about the Nazi civilians in World War II? Did we worry about those Germans? Did we worry about the Japanese civilians who were killed by the atomic bombs? No, caring about these civilians is only a way to hurt the Jews. It's purely anti-Semitic. But you're quite right, it's cool. I don't know how to get around that. But one way is, as I've said to Jewish leaders and to Israeli leaders, they have to start telling the truth about Abbas and about the Palestinian Authority and how they pay people to murder Jews and how in their podcast they say first one to kill all the Jews, next one to kill all the Christians. How many Christians know that? We have to start telling the truth of the Arab-Islamic war against Israel in the West. We are not doing it. That's one way to try and minimize what you correctly state has become cool to hate Jews. It's mind-boggling, but you're right.
Ken?
Okay, how come we're in this alone? Why aren't are the Europeans, the Brits, the French, the Germans, Scandinavia, aren't they concerned that Iran has nuclear weapons? Or not? I mean, why are we in this alone? I mean, the missiles could point to London and Paris, same as New York.
Well, the Torah promised that the Jewish people will be a people alone. And that prediction has unfortunately come true. I don't know why it says it there, but it does say it. But yes. No, the European countries, France and Germany, they don't believe that Iran is going to hurt them. They also are worried about the 10-15% of their population who are Muslims. So they're worried politically about a big chunk of their own people. They're worried about rallies for screaming and yelling all the time and threatening. And so they don't appreciate that they're really being threatened. And that's what, and they figured it's just the Jews, and of course, unfortunately, just like throughout history, they don't care about the Jews very much. They don't appreciate the danger. Don't appreciate the danger. We have to make that more clear. Trump has to make that more clear, that Europe is endangered as well, that in their own podcasts, in their own speeches, they say we're going to kill all the non-Jews after the Jews. You know, in Africa, in the last few years, they've killed over, the black Muslims, they've killed over 100,000 black Christians. Who knows that? Almost none of them. Very few people know it. And why aren't there rallies all around the country to try and protect black Christians? We don't make that case. Neither does Israel, neither the Jewish leaders. We don't make the case for the truth of the Arab-Islamic war against the West. That to me is the biggest problem. And we got to make it clear to Germany, France, and England that they're next. They don't believe that.
Kathleen?
How much video footage is there of the atrocities committed on October 7th, where they ripped the wombs out of pregnant Jewish women, where they put the fetuses in microwaves and cooked them.
They have total footage. The Arabs themselves
This
took
needs to
pictures.
be shown in theaters, on our televisions,
Well, it was shown.
or, well, no, we don't want children to see this,
It was
but
shown in
in our
Congress.
synagogue, in the synagogue.
We had filmings of these beyond belief unspeakable horrors to Congress. Very few congressmen came. They didn't want to see it. I almost don't blame them. It's a nightmare to watch this. So
This should be shown in churches.
There are pictures of these nightmares. And you know what the Arabs say? This is AI. It's AI. But yes, that has to be.
And where can you get the footage? Can we get the footage?
You have footage maybe on your website? The consul general here, Israeli consulate, they have the footage. They have it all.
And the people in the front, this lady here.
I don't need a mic. I don't
No,
need
he's coming, he'll be here in a second. One
a
second.
big mouth.
I need a mic.
You want to be able to hear.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. You had so much information. I was kind of like overloaded.
And much of it is true, by the
And
way.
I thought, my question is because there's so much hate and negativity for being a Jew, and we can't get around that. And my understanding there is going to be an emergency broadcast system, and I keep hearing there's going to be 10 days of darkness where there's more information that are going to be introduced about the corruption that's going on in the government and in our courts, and Obama and the Clintons and everybody.
Was that cute?
Well, my
What's your
question
question?
is,
Yeah.
do you know about this emergency broadcast event? And why can't some of the information here be a part of that event for this ongoing 10 days of a loop? Round and round and round. And if you don't know about it, please contact, the president about it or whatever judge.
What's the source? What's your source?
Yeah, who's doing
No,
this?
no, they're.
X-22 report.
Oh, my God.
Mark Levin, you don't like X-22 report? I like Dave.
Conspiracy
Mark
theory.
Levin,
Mark Levin?
yeah, Levin, however.
There are all sorts of reports.
I mean, is that real or is it not
No,
real?
there's all sorts of reports that are gonna be coming out with explicit details about the.
But that's where some of this truth can come in.
Republican Jewish guy.
Oh, okay.
Well, as I say, this is part of the problem. I went and spoke to a top Israeli leader that you're not talking about these things. People don't know. And he said to me, it's not important. I'll tell you, the Israeli government, they don't really get it. They're beginning to get it a little bit. But look at the Jewish leaders. Have they been talking about, they've been talking about it? I mean, all they scream about is a two-state solution. Give them a state.
Steve Cohen was talking all over the United States.
I don't know.
Steve, he's in his IDF.
So this lady is next. Question.
Iran is supposed to be bankrupt. Where does Hamas get the money to start rebuilding?
Good question.
They're not bankrupt. They could, if the blockade continues for a few more weeks, they could be bankrupt. They're very worried about that. But they've found alternative ways to be selling their oil, even going through the mountains as opposed to through the water. So they're not bankrupt yet, but they're very worried about being bankrupt. And that's one of the reasons they really do want to make a deal, but not one where they give up their nukes, and that's a problem. So they're getting close to bankruptcy. They're not there yet. They're losing $400 million
So
a
they're giving
day.
money to Hamas.
Pardon me?
So they're giving money to Hamas to
They
rebuild.
fund Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Most of the Arab terrorism in the world is funded by Iran. Where was America for 47 years?
Asleep.
Even after 9/11, when they were the biggest country behind it.
Yeah.
Hi, this is more of a local concern. I'm here. How is it that, how do you account for the fact that a mere 25 years after 9/11, we now have a Muslim mayor?
Great question. Fantastic.
A Jew-hating, America-hating Muslim mayor.
Communists too. Everything.
Obama and Biden opened up borders and let in 5 million Muslims since Obama's presidency. There was only 1 million Muslims in America when Obama came to power. There's now maybe 6 million Muslims. New York City had maybe a couple of 100,000 Muslims. Now they have 1 million Muslims. Every Muslim, virtually every Muslim voted for their Muslim brother Mamdani. So this is a different demography than we had, and it's due to these open borders. This was a nightmare that's destroying America. We don't know who these people are. Well, we know we have lots of Muslims, but Cuba and Venezuela literally opened up their prisons and mental hospitals and said, go into America. We don't want to pay for you anymore. And so when Trump says that, it's true. So that's one of the reasons we have Mamdani there. That couldn't have happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Mr. Klein, do you believe that Europe's conversion to Muslim, where a lot of the political powers are now being influenced, like in Britain, you got many mayors in London are now
13
Muslim?
cities in Britain have Muslim mayors.
So does that have an
Including
impact?
London.
Does that have an impact on how they go about how they look at the Iran war? Does that affect their
Of
opinion?
course it is. A big factor in France, England, and Germany's response to this war is that 10 to 15% of their people are Muslims. And they're very active. They go in the streets and rally, and they threaten, and they threaten, even in America, they've threatened many American leaders with death. Muslims. I myself had 2 FBI agents come to my private home, black suits and black ties, to tell me that I'm on an Iranian hit list with 42 other people. I said, can you protect me? They said, no. Our job is to let you know. We have to go to lunch now.
Jesus.
So I bought the cameras on each side of my house, and I'm careful. But no. And that's really another reason that we have to destroy this regime, not just make a deal to destroy it, because they're threatening Americans all over America. This is very serious business. They mean it. Elie Wiesel said, when people tell you they want to kill you, the lesson of the Holocaust, when they tell you they want to kill you, believe them.
Yeah.
Just a note on Muslims. Obama was, of course, when he campaigned for president, made a big deal about going to this church in Chicago, which was run by this rabid anti-American pastor.
Jeremiah Wright.
Right.
Who went to high school with me.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What a dubious honor.
Philadelphia. And let me tell you, Obama, they're so similar, I get confused. Obama made a speech at the Constitution Center in Philadelphia, if you remember, about Jeremiah Wright, when he was getting lots of pressure. And he said how close it is to him, and that you have to understand why he is acting this way. He was poverty-stricken, discriminated against, had a terrible life, and so he feels miserable about it, and that's one of the reasons acting horribly. Well, he went to high school with me in Philadelphia, Central High School. His father was a wealthy pastor in a very big church in Germantown section of Philadelphia. His mother had a PhD in math education, was the vice principal of Girls High, which was the academic high school for girls in Philadelphia, Philadelphia High School for Girls. He lived in the big stone mansion in Germantown. He was a rich kid, richer than most of the kids in my class. So Obama lied his brains out about this guy.
You mean Obama was lying?
And just to follow up, in addition to going to Wright's incredibly anti-American lectures for decades, you know, it was a Christian church though, he was once asked by a reporter, what religion are you? And without thinking, he said, I'm a Muslim. And his aide had to correct him, no. Oh, excuse me, I mean I'm a Christian. So I happen to think he was a Muslim. He was brought up in a madrasa in Indonesia.
I asked Governor Ling, anyone remember who Governor Ling is, L-I-N-G?
No.
Hawaii?
Yes, how did you know that? It's
Popped in
amazing.
my head. Hawaii.
Wow. Governor Ling was the governor of Hawaii when Obama was running for president. She happened to be Jewish, by the way. She came to speak at my synagogue. Why? I don't understand, but she was there. And I went over to her. This is when everyone was screaming he was born in Kenya, not in America. By the way, in this book that he wrote, allegedly wrote, it says here, read this book by this exotic man from Kenya. It says so in his book. And when Obama was asked about this, he said, oh, the publishing house wanted to say that to make me look more interesting. But he said, and I asked Ling, Why is he not simply releasing his birth certificate to prove it? I mean, the first thing I would do if they're saying I wasn't born here is my birth certificate, born anywhere from my life. And she said, I said the same thing to him, said Governor Ling to me personally, and he said, don't you dare release it. He wouldn't give her permission, which proves there was something strange about that birth certificate. It was doctored. Why would he not release it to me? Why did he release it 3 years later?
It was being made up.
That he was, as a child, brought up in Indonesia and went to Muslim schools during his formative young years makes me certainly believe he is a Muslim, which is why we now have 5 million Muslims in this country. And of course, who voted for Obama? All the liberal Jews. Okay, this lady in the back.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm running for New York State Assembly District 75, and I will be.
What is your name?
My name is Christina Fontanelli. And
nice Jewish name.
There you go. But I love the Jewish people, and I will be speaking out, and the Iranians may be coming after me soon. So I know you want a question, and I have a question. So we face this incredibly difficult situation, and I know about the Christians being slaughtered, and I get it, and I know people that don't believe what happened on October 7th. They think it's AI, the kids. But my question is this. If President Trump accomplishes his goal, which we pray he does, and gets Iran to go bankrupt and takes care of the problem, that'll be great. What do you project here in New York City? Like I feel like our side needs to have strategy, so please share with me so I know how to fight back. What do we project? Right now it's quiet here. Like what exactly is happening with the anti-Semitism here? What do you think that this new so-called mayor is up to? What are we facing? If we know what we're facing, we might be able to fight back.
Well, look, the man refused, after being questioned repeatedly, to condemn the phrase globalized, the killing of Jews. Intifada, which is the killing of Jews. Repeatedly asked, in the same interview, was asked 3 or 4 times, and he still wouldn't do it. Well, where's the Jews screaming against this? It's unbelievable. If he said, call for the murder of every black or every gay person, the world would go crazy.
Jews voted
and now he just vetoed, as you know, legislation to have a 25-foot border in front of, for protests in front of schools. He wouldn't allow it. This man is a rabid Jew hater, America hater, of the worst sort, and now he wants to have this insane tax on people who have expensive homes in New York City. I think he wants to drive as many people out of this city so more of his people can take over.
That's right.
That is what I remember. He only won by 50.1% of the vote. If Curtis Sliwa would have dropped out, the odds are very high that Cuomo would have won.
Yes.
Because Cuomo is as bad a candidate as you can get, unfortunately.
He's not a communist and he's not a Jew hater.
And I can tell you something else about Curtis Sliwa. There are reasons he didn't drop out of that race. It was money.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yes.
He's getting paid off.
I know
He's not honest.
Mr. Klein,
Sorry.
Mr. Klein,
No, he's not honest.
talking about June 9th going to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Who do you think we have to lobby? The Jewish senators or other senators?
We will decide who to lobby, so you will just come along and we'll spend an hour or more discussing the 2 or 3 issues we're going to lobby on. And then we are setting up all the meetings.
But you mentioned the Jewish senators are not inclined to vote for the Jewish causes as much as
We just had a vote a week or 2 ago to stop selling arms to Israel in the middle of a war.
Wow.
40 out of 47 Democrats voted to stop selling arms, not giving arms, selling arms to Israel in the middle of a war. Out of those 40 Democrats, 7 were Jews. 7 were Jews. Bernie Sanders, Ossoff, Schatz of Hawaii, and Schiff of California.
The devil.
The Jews are desperate to prove they're not really Jewish for Jews. They're desperate to prove. That's why I believe Josh Shapiro said that, well, Israel should never have bullied Trump into forcing him into a war he didn't want to go in. That's bad for America. He wants to prove to everyone, don't worry, I'm not fighting for Jews, I'm fighting for America. We are insecure people because of our history, 2,000 years of hatred, persecution, pogroms, Holocaust, massacres. We're psychologically damaged and afraid of the rest of the world, so we're desperate for the world to stop hating us. To stop hating us. So yeah, and I think it's hard to convince Jewish members of Congress to do what's right if they don't already do what's right than non-Jewish members, because they have psychological problems. In fact, that's one of the reasons Jews invented psychiatry, because we need it so badly.
Question.
Two quick questions. First of all, you very correctly predicted that the left would stab the mainstream Jewish organizations in the back and that anti-Semitism would increase. And it's happened. So where do you see American and Western culture going from here, and is there anything you can do about it? Second question, you said
I'd like to one at a time. I get confused. I get confused. I'm so confused, I don't remember your first question. Please.
So you very correctly predicted the sharp increase in anti-Semitism that's happened in the U.S. and Europe and the Western world. And you predicted it a long time ago. You said that the left would stab the mainstream Jewish organization back. They did. So being that you've been correct so far, where do you see Western culture and America and Jews going forward? And is there anything you can do to affect the zeitgeist?
Ultimately, we'll be fine, but I'm worried about the next 10 years. Things are only getting worse. I'm afraid that a year from now, it's not going to be better, it's going to be worse. In fact, when I met with a member of Knesset in Israel, he said to me, things are going to get worse and worse in America and throughout the world for Jews. Mort, come to Israel now. Buy your house now. Before 1 million Jews start desperately trying to get into Israel when there's no housing. That's what a member of Knesset said to me. I'm very worried things are getting worse because our Jewish leaders and members of Congress are not condemning and attacking. Why was there an outcry among Dani when he vetoed the simple legislation to just stay 25 feet away from a Jewish school when you're protesting? There should have been an outcry against this. This is outrageous. When there's no outcry, he sees he can get away with it. I don't see enough of an outcry among Jewish. Thank you. Among Jewish leaders, Israeli leaders, rabbis. Where are they? So no, for the next few years, I'm concerned. Ultimately, we will prevail. We will win. But the immediate future, I'm deeply concerned about.
All right.
You made Democrat, being a Democrat, their religion.
I'm a 501c3 nonprofit. I don't
let somebody else
oppose
ask a
any
question. You have a second question? No, not now.
I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. One or two more.
We're almost finished. Okay. A few in the back and that's it.
My question is a simple one. I think it's hurting, one of the things that's hurting Israel and the U.S. is the very bad vibe around Bibi and the whole Bibi thing with the court and his prosecution.
So what's your question?
Well, can't you or anybody else say to I just saw the president of Israel refuse to pardon Bibi. What can we do to get the goddamn Bibi thing off the books? Let him be. It's like the witch hunt against Trump.
They hated Shimon Peres. They hated every prime minister when things were problematic. It's not because of what
do they understand how hard it is for us to carry the fight for Bibi if his own country is after him?
That's not true. I've been asked to make an announcement. There are some people who come on a regular basis down to Center Street where the people who have committed anti-Semitic acts are on trial. They just sitting there adds support to the prosecutor side of things, and it influences the judge. If you're interested in being informed about this, it happens almost every week. Michael Jenkins can stand up, wave his hand. You can see him and he'll give you the details, how to get on the mailing list. so you can attend one or more of these events.
I have the info too if you need it.
Should we wrap up?
Yes, about the parade. About the parade in Brooklyn and so on.
Hi, I'm Liz Burney from ZOA. I wanted to announce a couple of things. One is please march with us at the Israel Day Parade, and you get a free ZOA T-shirt if you march with us. Okay, and it's really important now, especially with Mamdani as the mayor, for us to show our support this year and to have a really big crowd. So please come, and you can sign up on our website and tell them what size T-shirt you want.
ZOA.org. ZOA.org.
We also have a book club that we run every couple of weeks. We have Jewish authors come, or not necessarily Jewish, but authors come about important books. And next Wednesday, we're having Elise Stefanik. It's on Zoom, speaking about her book. So please join that. Join us. We send out the announcements, get on our email list so that you can always see, what we have going on. And also the Washington Mission, which Mort mentioned, is June 9th. Very important that all of us come and talk to our Congress members, please join us for that. Thank you so much.
If you appreciate the work ZOA does, please join ZOA. It's $50. Join us, strengthen us, so our voice matters. If you do not join us, you have no right to enjoy the work we do. You must join us to help us be stronger. Thank you very, very much for being here tonight.
Thank you.